TraceX is basically a tool that helps regulated companies to do their day-to-day work, so to develop their product, as well as preparing their technical file, the DHF, and to pass the audit. Because what I've been, when I was in London, or then when I worked in France in medical device companies, so you have this kind of separation between the regulated activities, and you have the, let's say, product development and day-to-day work. You have engineers working with cybersecurity, working with testers, and all these people work in different areas, and they work with different tools, if they work with tools, and somehow they don't speak the same language. And the reason why they don't speak the same language is because they don't have like a bridge to talk together. So basically, some people are doing their documentation to like prepare for the audits, and some other people are basically like creating like requirement specification, test cases. So basically developing the product and ensuring that the product is well developed. So somehow the data is similar, but it's not communicated clearly. So they need to extract data from one system to put in another system to sign it. A bit of a nightmare. So TraceX is a bit of a bridge between what we call, like, I don't like acronyms, but I think in this audience, you guys might know what I'm talking about, but I can define them. An EQMS on one hand, and an ALM, PLM, so application lifecycle or product lifecycle management on the other end. So that's really like an all-in-one. You can manage your regulatory work, but you can also manage your day-to-day activities and engineers and can work inside the platform. So that's really like an all-in-one. That's what it is.
So what interested me about this is Charles has taken a unique approach to going to market with this product, and that's to work with consultants and to offer the product to consultants for free, so that you can extend the value of the work that you do for your clients. In other words, if you're doing quality work for the clients, you're doing audits for the clients, you're doing this, that, or the other thing for the clients, having them use your EQMS platform, then you're able to embed yourself more deeply into the work that they're doing and to provide greater value to the clients, and you get a free platform in the process, which I guess they pay for, but you don't. So with that in mind, we're going to have a demo at some point today. But did I do justice to the value proposition for this audience and why they should care today?
Yeah, so that's exactly true. So there is a reason behind that. Experts have regulatory or quality and regulatory expertise, and even other stream of expertise. Human factor engineering can be cybersecurity, can be like other stream of work, and so this came up at the really beginning of TraceX. We actually, to be fair, when we launched the product like 2 years ago, we were not so sure about the business model. We knew that the product was there were a gap in the market, as I just mentioned before, but the business model was a bit unclear. And that because I was really well introduced into the, let's say, consultant service people in this medical device sector. Then we discussed, and then the problem was that, okay, so these guys have a different, problems. We all have problems, right? One, they like to differentiate themselves with a tool that is affordable, because before the EQMS, let's say, that's very expensive. So if you work with small and mid-sized companies as a consultant, they cannot afford them. It's matter of fact. That's one. And then the question is that, okay, so let's say and then to be able to harmonize their work. So they needed to have a tool that would be able to put all their documentation, all their workflows. What I mean by workflows, I mean like how to manage a CAPA, how to manage test management, how to manage non-conformity. So then they will define the workflow, their own workflow, and then they will take it and put. I will be able to show it later. But take this workflow they designed themselves. So risk management, so like a you have calculation into setup, etc., etc. So all this stuff, all these workflows, they will be able to implement them into their client workspace. So they will be able to reuse their knowledge. So the tool enables them to work more efficiently. And so now the second part is why free for consultant and why paid for a manufacturer. Because we see consultant as partners. So partners, so they can who I mean, when you are a consultant and you work with a company, usually the company trusts you, right? The legal manufacturer, the medical device, they trust you. I mean, they have chosen you. They spend some time to choose you, and there is something that is working. It's like a human bond, working fine. And so it's much easier if a consultant like to work with a tool. It's much easier for them to be trusted than any like sales guys that don't understand anything about the industry. Or I don't say sales guys don't understand anything about the industry. That's what I'm saying. But I'm saying that people that understand have a deep knowledge of what's going on, and if they like this tool, and if they recommend this tool, that means something. So so that's the reason why. And that was an experimentation at the beginning, and it worked well, so we continued.
So you mentioned a variety of workflows.
Mhm.
Can you walk us through what they are, or like what if I wanted to start a new workflow? Can I start a new workflow?
Yeah, you can start a new workflow. You will The way it works is you have like it works with cards. We call that cards and processes. And so a card it could be a document, it could be like card with fields. So you can have like number, you can have like drop down, you can have like whatever you want. And then that's a card. You can have like multiple cards. And then what you will do, you will build like the logic behind the workflow between these cards. And then you will say, okay, so once this is done, you do this, and then you do this, and then you do this. And then you will be able to create the workflow exactly the way you want. I will be able to show how it works very briefly, don't worry. But yeah, the idea is that for consultant to be able to, I mean, anyone, but consultant, because we like working with them, to be able to build their own workflows, because everybody work a little bit differently, and the goal is for them to be able to create the workflow they feel is right, and to implement to their clients. Examples are risks. So let's take a risk. So you will have like risk management. You will create your card of a risk. You will be able to have a calculation. You have a severity. You have a probability. Then you will have is it acceptable or not? Then you will be able to implement like a mitigation. Then you will be able to implement an effectiveness, etc. And then you will be able to reassess, and so on and so on. So that's the way it works.
So I want to turn it over to the members of the audience for a moment, and I want them to chime in with questions. Would it help me do X, Y, or Z? Would it help me do this? Would it help me do that? You can either put it in the chat, or you can come on live and ask the question. But I would like to explore sort of the boundaries, the capabilities of this, the limitations, what have you, and try to get a sense of how it works. Um, I see one hand, Maria, please.
Yes. Hopefully you can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. Uh, Charles, what is the difference between your program or your product and the whole EQMS products that are offered? I mean, several or a number of them are offered. So what's the difference? I mean, you're not describing a whole QMS, EQMS system. You're describing a component of it, if I understand correctly.
So you have some key differences. So the first one is that you would have not only the modules that EQMS. So let's list out the modules. I mean, in a very small time, the modules of EQMS. You will have you will have the documentation, the template. You will have the CAPA non-conformity. You have the trainings. Pretty much it, right? And then you will have what they call ALM, PLM. That they don't do very well. It's probably other tools. You will be able to manage a risk management. You will be able to manage requirement specification, test case with traceability between test cases and traceability. That's being done not very well by EQMS. Some people try, but not very well. And then you have some support tools. Then you have, so for us, it's embedded. Then you have like the communication with chat, video conferencing, and like Office, like online Office. So all these stuff are combined, which are so basically it's an all-in-one with all the different modules. Clinical. So we have some modules for clinical evaluation too, clinical trials. Sorry, that's for the scope of it. Then you have the specificities are in, let's say, 99% of the EQMS out there. You're right, there are plenty. They do work with you import a Word document or an Excel document. So basically, you don't solve any problem. You don't solve any efficient problem by doing so. I was using before we were using Master Control. And basically, it's a super expensive Google Drive. DocuSign, a super expensive DocuSign. So you work on Word, then you import into your what they call a capsule. Then you send to reviewer, to approver. You have a reviewer. Then you need to download your document. Then you need to make your changes. You need to update. It erases. It's nightmare. So because we were working on that, what we did back in the days when I was working previously, we were doing all these kind of review steps outside the tool. We were only importing the tool just to sign. That's it. So that's that. So it's relying a lot on Word and Excel, which makes things very not efficient. You will see the way we can review a document, the way we can, where we manage a risk, test case, requirement specification, test case, risk, and you have you enter them as you work, and then you can directly create a table, and your table is live instantly. And then in this table, you can put in a document and send for review for approval. So you don't have copy paste information between stuff. It's you enter the information once. So that's another one. Another one, but is getting less and less a differentiator. But at least the big players at the moment don't really implement AI agents yet. I mean, they are in the process. So because we are all implementing AI agents, so it will not be for long. But at the moment, it takes a bit longer for them to do this stuff because it's an older infrastructure. But we are getting there. So, for example, we have embedded some AI agent to do regulatory monitoring or to help with internal audit. So I can mention that a bit later on. But that's really help consultant to create actually additional offers or medical device in general, and also notified bodies in Europe or FDA in the US. To be able to work more efficiently. And the last bit is probably important a lot for the people we are targeting is pricing. Because we are if you take Greenlight Guru, for example, which is I think market leader, we are approximately 10 times cheaper than them. for one specific reason, not because we're 10 times not as good as they are. It's because we want to, for the same reason that we work in partnership with consultants, we want to onboard young companies early on and to grow with them. We don't want pricing to be a problem for them. That's why we're competing with tools like Jira, Confluence that people are using there. So that's why we're setting up our price that way.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't want to. I'm being selfish, but so basically, you are a EQMS system. The whole thing. I mean, you are that.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because I'm sorry, I was thinking that there was you were doing just a part of it and not the whole thing. You're doing the whole thing. Okay, thank you.
No. Yeah, I'm doing more than EQMS only. Yeah.
Good. Now that's clear. Thank you.
I'm going to translate into marketing language. Greenlight Guru at 1/10 the price.
Clear.
Free to consultants, ideal for startups.
Clarissima. Yes.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to ask Carrie to unmute.
Okay. Hi, Carrie.
Hello.
So when you put in, so on the design module of it, you have a design module, correct? Which a lot of them don't. Most of them don't. So you can put in your design requirements, inputs, hazards, and it sounds like you have a traceability part,
Yes.
which nobody has, and it'll automatically trace the requirements and do all of that in your AI and do everything for us that nobody seems to do. And
yeah, you added the AI word in the middle, but yeah, but yeah. So you are completely right. So you can put some relations between what we call cards, and a card. You can have a card which is let's say risk, specification, requirement, test case, and then we can have relations toward them. And then because we can configure, I will be able to show. I don't want to spend too much time on the platform, but I will be able to show, to not bother you, right? The point is to not bother you.
Right.
And then the idea, so because you have relations between them, you can have a table view, a traceability matrix, let's say view, and then you will be able to see what risk is linked to what requirement, to what specification, to what test case, and you will be able to see if there are any holes in there. And then this table is living. It's a living table. You're working with it. And then you can take this table and you can copy it, put it in a control document, and then you will send to review to approve for review and approval. It will be fixed. I will be able to show this actual workflow then.
Master Greenlight Guru, Qualio, none of the others have that module. I'm just telling you. They're trying to.
I know. So it's easier I would say in a different way. It's easier for us because we are more recent. I mean, the technology is more recent. So we developed a tool that we call cars and processes. So from the beginning, so these people developed modules. I mean, there is no blaming, there is no reproach. They developed a tool 20 years ago. I mean, that's the way it is, right? Or 15 years ago. So we started developing like 5 years ago, and we came with that approach. We said, okay, we don't want to build modules. We want to be able to build modules builder. Yeah, exactly. So with no code. So it took more time for us to build this module builder. But once you have that developed, then you can build these modules with not a single line of code, which they cannot do. But it's because, it's because 10, 15 years passed, and 10, 15 years in software is like thousands of years.
One more question. Do you
This
offer
is
your clients you do the validation for them and give them everything for them to do?
that's a very good question, and that has been a long discussion and thought. So we are in the same approach. I will try to be short. That's my
Okay.
problem. Um, our goal is to be able to work with partners. So we don't. So we want the way we implement the software is to work with service company, other like independent consultant or service companies. So we don't want to steal their jobs. In short. So a lot of people say, "Do you?" It's the same response. So do you sell templates like document templates? I would say no,
No,
never,
right.
ever.
That's clients.
If some consultants want to sell them, they can, not us. It's not our job. So the same thing. So but we have done like a basic, let's say, what we call a compliance matrix. So it's a bit. So what do we do? So we reviewed all the requirements from ISO 13485, the Part 1120, 820, and Part 11 for the FDA, and we reviewed the requirements, of course, specific on the EQMS, and then we addressed what we have implemented and the evidence. So, I mean, we address our traceability metric. It's available on the website. Actually, we give it for free. Having said that, we don't say, "Hey, this is a validation package." Why? Because it's like 90% of the job, but you will always have like, let's say, a 10% to be done. And so we don't want to say, people say, "Okay, that's fine. Charles said we have, so we can go." No, because you will configure, you will do some adjustment and stuff like that, and then test some stuff. So what's happened is that some companies don't want to test them afterwards. So they want to have someone that does a validation package like IQ, QPQ, clean. If so, we have consultants we work with, and then they can complete this validation. And we share the price has transparency and so on. So that's possible. But so that's consultants that provide a validation of the tool at a very low price because it's not that much work. But it also helps consultants to have a foot in the door to companies, and then they can work on additional stuff once they're in there.
Okay.
I don't know if it was clear.
Yeah, that's good. Okay.
Martin, and then Leo.
Okay, 2 questions. One,
Hey, Martin.
hi there. One, Part 11 signature. Do you have it?
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Yeah.
Only Part 11 signature. If you're using Adobe Sign or DocuSign, this has got to cover the costs of your QMS.
I know. I know. You're right.
And the other question is, can you define your own workflow? Because you're working with startups, and these guys are incredibly creative and incredibly non-compliant. And they all like to use Agile as an excuse for not being compliant, but they can be. So the question is, if they can define their own workflows with some kind of compliance monitor, then this is great because it gives them that flexibility that they need.
Yeah, they can build their own workflows. Yes, absolutely, they can. Yeah, that flexibility.
Okay.
Hope you're well, though.
Leo.
So I'm going to ask a question that Bayat asked first on the chat. Where is the data stored? U.S. cloud? What? Within reach of the U.S. Cloud Act?
I don't know.
So the data is it can be stored anywhere. It's not my answer, right? But so it's open source platform. I can explain what open source is, but we can install the tool anywhere. But for the people that are using let's say the SaaS, we are currently hosting it in Europe, in Germany. It's called Etzner in Germany for one reason. A main reason is that let's say the majority of our users are based in Europe at the moment. It's not totally true because we have some of them in the US and some of them more east, but the majority is Europe. But the question is the same question. This question will be asked when we'll have like more users in the US who can easily have an instance in the US and more users. So we are also developing in Asia. We have like partners in Korea, and so that's exactly the same question is going to be is going to come, and there is absolutely no problem to. Yes, sorry. And it's absolutely no problem for changing infrastructure hosting provider. We have done in the past. We were at Cloudflare originally. We moved to Etzner for technical reasons, but it's totally possible to move back to Cloudflare. It's totally possible. I mean. That's also the beauty of like modern tools, is that we can sort of easily, we are not embedded in a hosting provider. We can easily move them.
Okay, now to my question. So it sounds like with the design control process, you're pretty flexible. I can work anywhere within the design control process. So like I work with active medical devices, but there's a lot of active implants, or there's non-active devices or drug device combination products. Any of those can be worked on and anywhere within the design control process. So like I deal with EMC test plans and safety test plans, and identifying standards, laws, regulations, guidances up front, which I pound on my clients as design inputs, and they never do up front. But I want to make sure that process is embedded right up front in the EQMS.
So two parts of your question. So the first one you mentioned like different types of class of medical device. And so what current consultants are doing is that they can create workflows based on, they have different workspaces, and they can create workflows of their modules based on the class of the software, because it can be either very complex or less complex. It can be like a lot of like a checkpoint and controls or information. So that's possible. So some consultants are doing all documentation as well. So you can create let's say one template workspace per type of medical device. That's highly possible. And then based on your new client coming, you will choose the template document or your template workflow that you have created from one of them. That's yours, and you would just pick the one that matches to be the closest to your client. And then of course, there is always a bit of adjustment that's needed. That's the first one. The second one is to be able to have, let's say, phases, right, in the workflows. And then absolutely, so because you would have created the workflows ahead of time, you will be able, they won't be able, so they will have stage gates in their activities. So let's take, example of a CAPA. If you decide to put like a various control step in a CAPA, then there are no way they can move from a beginning to the end without going through all these steps in the middle. They can go. So with software, you cannot go around it. You cannot. It's impossible. You cannot cheat. That's the beauty of it, and also the. We're European, like the south of Europe. So less control is better sometimes. But you cannot cheat anymore. That's beauty and not beauty of it.
And one last question.
Please.
So since I'm not a QMS expert anymore, I'm more focused on product safety and compliance and supporting the regulatory side. I'd want to work with someone that's dealing with the EQMS. So do you have instances where multiple consultants are working on the same company together in your system?
That's a very good. It's a very good question because that's exactly what we promote. So um, there is so these consultants don't work alone. They are, and it's getting more and more like that in Europe. So you have consultants. I mean, people have less and less people in house, and I'm promoting this kind of model. People have companies have less and less people in house, but they will have like a small team in house, and then they will use, let's say, R&D consultant, or it's usually all the same as quality and regulatory. They can have like clinical trial, they can have HFE, human factor engineering, they can have like test management. Anyway, you can have like multiple people, and all these people will have access, of course, with different roles and permissions, obviously, but will have access to the same workspace. And sometimes, so through the platform, that's the beauty of it. That's what I really love, that this consultant that know, and they're doing different stuff. I said human factor, I mean, whatever. They know which people know about the platform, and they can bring people in and say, hey, I'm working on this project, and guess what? We know we need a human factor engineering. I know you are working with TraceX, so can you, and then you just give an access to this consultant, and they can come and work on the project. And because it's free for consultants, any type of consultant, that it's free for the company. It's not that there is no additional cost for the company. So,
Great,
yeah.
thank you.
So we had somebody write in a question, and I'm going to go to the chat file. What stages in the product development can this tool be used? Early, continuing? What are the key strengths and weaknesses of this tool? So I'm gonna put you on the spot, and I'm gonna say, what is a weakness of this tool? And then we'll go to the strengths, and then we'll go to the stages. I'm sure that you're gonna say every stage. So I'm gonna just shortcut that in.
Yeah, Sage is probably what's the weakness of the tool? I would say is youth. So we are in a market for the past 2 years. It's an advantage and a problem at the same time. An advantage because, as I said earlier, we can be more efficient, more modern, blah 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 blah. But in the other end, of course, people would like to go with more like mainstream. So bigger corporation would like to go to mainstream, like Greenlight Guru and stuff like that. So one weakness would be probably like, let's say, the credibility over the years. Like, how many audits have you been through? Not you personally, but companies. How many audits have you been through? For example, I will never work with Pfizer, or I mean, not never, but I'm not planning to work anytime very soon with Pfizer or with Bayer or with name it, right? Baxter, I mean, name it. Because of course, this is we don't have the credibility for them. So that will be probably our youth. Let's say the weakness, let's say.
Okay, and the same.
I can find other ones if it's not if it's not convincing enough. I can find other weaknesses.
No, you don't need to find other weaknesses. I just wanted to start you out with the weaknesses to keep you honest. And then the strength.
The strengths, with no doubt, the highly configurability. I mean, that's what we worked on for so many years, and that's a hole we saw in the market, that you have tools for this, for that, and it's very difficult to have a tool that can do everything. So the highly configurability is definitely a strength. Yeah, I mean, I'm convinced about that because that's a goal of the tool.
That's good. So I want to give you time to present the platform now, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course. Can can have a tour. I think we discussed a use case with like risk requirement and traceability matrix. So that could be a good one to. So let's be sure. Am I on the right one? Let me. Okay, so. I think I'm showing the right thing. Yes, it looks like it. Do you guys see the platform? I mean, the screen, whatever that
is.
The screen, yes.
Okay, so I will be quick, but just to show you a couple of things. So one thing was really I can show CAPA, for example. So to show we implemented various processes, and for example, one that we implemented is basically how to manage CAPA. So we implemented a workflow. I mean, this is an example of workflow we implemented. So we can say, okay, I will be very not inspired, right? Quality event. I mean, okay, quality event one. So then we can see here we can fill the quality event. So of course, that's data that we have filled. All the fields we mentioned them. So let's say, I mean, okay, I won't put any data in. You have some drop down, you have a criticality assessment, you have the event classification. So that's all this stuff have been configured, and they have been like, it's an example. We can create like whatever difference. But then we have filled these values filled, we can confirm. Then you can see we have different to-dos. And just to show you that we receive the to-dos, here. So if I go back here, so I can add a corrective action, for example. I'll do it from here for you to see. Add a correction, sorry. That was just like an example that was given by a consultant that was happy to share the workflow. Correction one, for example. The owner, I'll put myself, is going to be much easier. That's the owner of the correction. Then I can stop adding a correction. I can add more correction, or I will stop adding corrections. Then I can see that I receive notification, the correction, so I can fill my correction. So, okay, I will fill my correction. I will say it's completion here. I'll say save. Okay, so my correction is completed. That's my notification center, so I can see when I have something. I can add a root cause now. Again, don't blame me if that's not a workflow that you like. It's just a workflow that was proposed by someone, right? So that's just to show you an example. It's not even mine. That's something that's root cause one, for example. Then a responsible person. You have it here. You can save, and then I can add additional root cause. I can stop adding additional root cause. Oh, sorry. If I go down, you will see, and that's what we discussed a bit earlier. You can see the relations here. The relation of the quality event with my correction. You can see it's completed. Of my root cause, we can see it's in progress, and so on. So now I will stop adding root causes. You can see in my root cause analysis. So I'm being asked to write. So let's say why. So let's because. Okay. Results. Final root cause. Let's not take real example. It's just to have a bit of a tour. Then you can go, you continue. You can continue. Is a CAPA required? So in that case, somehow they merge corrective action and preventive action. So it's like, is it CAPA required? We say, okay. They say yes. And then they can add CAPA. Let's say CAPA 1. I'll always put myself, but imagine Brad Pitt is busy. I can always put myself, but of course you can have multiple people, right? So I stop using CAPA, so you can see it's still everything is linked. You can see here I can fill my CAPA, so it's open at the moment. So yeah, you can have like auto, we can have various views. So I put, okay, my effectiveness criteria, my objective of closure, who's going to review my my plan. Then I send for review. Send it to myself. Doesn't make much sense, but whatever. I can go through it. You can see that I can fill. Is my CAPA completed? Yes. Is my effective? Yes. That's all these fields have been really configured. So everything can change. All this logic can change. Then I can send for review of the completion, right? And then this is done. And then we're gonna see our main card, which is the quality event, and we can see we have no section that triggered, and we can fill it. We can confirm that correction is completed, root cause analysis is too, CAPA is there. So we could have multiple of everything. For the sake of efficiency, I've just put one, but then I can fill the mandatory, all the CAPA completed. Yes, I'm gonna put it to myself, and I can, the approver is gonna be myself too. And then I can send to a review and to approval. Here we go. So that is fully completed. So, and then we can see all the quality event. We can have the list. We can have the traceability matrix. I would like to show you just very briefly a traceability matrix because we talked about that. So earlier we talked about traceability matrix about here. So you have the risk, the requirements, the specification, the test case, and the execution. But let's say for the sake of the demo, I will just remove it here. And then you have all these fields. I can actually add more here. It's no problem. And what I can do is that I can copy this table. So it's another use case, but I copy my trust because we talked about that earlier. You can see that the test case is passed, failed, pass, fail, etc. And then I'll go to control documentation. I will create a new document. I will go to Medispray, for example. I will select traceability matrix template, for example. Traceability matrix for product. And then just to show, because we had the discussion earlier, I will put, reviewer and approval, I'll put myself. And then, so I have the template, you can see it's in draft. And then I can put my table here. And I have my risk, my requirement, etc. Then I can, of course, because this, I can show the difference, refresh table if things are moving there, so I can stay up to date here. And what's very important here is why we don't have a Word document that we import and so on, is that we can send for review. So I send it to myself. I sign. So then it's in review. I complete my review. I send for approval, and I approve my document. Here we go. And then you can see that my signature are there. My version 1 is efficient. I can export as PDF and so on. And I can draft a new version, and I can continue and so on and so on. So that's overall it's a bit too big. The way it looks inside.
I have a quick question before, because time is short. Going back to the CAPA, uploading documents is important, backup documents. So when you were showing the CAPA, there was a place for attachments, but is that organized so that for each step or whatever the step is, you're able to upload the reference document, whether it's a Word or PDF? I mean, what is the format? So 2 questions about how you can do that and if there's a restriction on format.
I'm not sure that the question. So can you import? Can you attach a document? The question is
Yeah,
yes.
in other words,
there's-
for all of those steps for CAPA, you have documents backing them up. It's not just somebody saying, yes, no, I did this, I did that. There's always a document.
Oh, you can reference it. Yes. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Let me. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I see. Yeah. You can. You have a text. You can reference. So either if it's a document that is inside, right? So let's say this document, for example. So everything you can tag any document here. So you'll be able to tag whatever from inside. But if it's an external document, you can either put it in here. So you can an image or whatever, or you can drag and drop any document, or you can attach. You have attachment section here if it's external document.
Okay. Yeah, because people who work in quality, if you don't have the backup document and if it's not consistent with what you're supposed to be doing or saying, then it's a problem.
Yeah, you can tag either internal document with tags, so that's a beauty of working inside document, or you can attach whatever external document, PDF, Word. I mean, yeah, absolutely.
Thanks.
No problem.
So we're running out of time, and I want to spend a couple minutes talking about the MLV 100. But before we do that, how does this compare to QM Space or Cognition Cockpit? Does this enable use of libraries of information to support platform approaches? I assume so, but are you familiar with either of those products, QM Space or Cognition Cockpit?
Is it for me?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, I was. Excuse, can you repeat? Sorry.
Yeah. Are you familiar with Cognition Cockpit or QM Space, and how would this compare to that? And does this? Okay.
No.
Okay. And does this enable the use of libraries or information to support platform approaches? I think we just looked at the ability to attach documents. Susan, beyond, so would you be able to, for example, access a Google Drive that had a whole series of documents in it, or anything like that? I don't know.
Yeah, of course you can. You can reference any external document inside the platform. Absolutely. The goal of such platform is to remove the need of Google Drive. We have a drive. We have an internal drive where you can store external documents. So the goal is also to replace to not have Google Drive anymore. It's to I didn't show the drive, but we have our own Google Drive where you can store Word, Excel, anything.
Okay, great. So last question for the audience is, if you're interested in giving this thing a test drive or talking further with Charles, please put your rate interested in the chat, and I will have him get a hold of you, and you guys can move on from there. Want to connect with the community? Watch the replay and meet people on MLVX.ai.